Record 15, Side 1, Lesson number 15, the 15th lesson, Practical section, British newspapers and libraries. In Great Britain, there are more newspapers and periodicals read daily per person than in any other country in the world. The most famous dailies are, I am sure, already known to you: The Times, the Daily Telegraph, and the Guardian. These are generally on sale in the principal European cities on the day of issue, or perhaps the day after in some cases. Many people outside the United Kingdom imagine that these papers have the largest daily sale of any newspaper in Great Britain. It is not so. In fact, of the 18 or 19 million newspapers sold every morning of the week throughout the country, less than 10% is represented by these newspapers. The popular press sells millions of copies every day. The Daily Express, something more than 4 million. The Daily Mirror, over 4,500,000. And 2 or 3 more with a daily circulation of more than 1 million copies. These figures do not include evening newspapers, which altogether have a circulation of nearly 10 million every day. One of the Sunday newspapers sells almost 6.5 million copies every week, and 2 others sell over 5 million each. The average sale of morning papers on a Sunday is about 30 million copies in the United Kingdom. Weekly papers also sell in millions of copies. There are magazines for all tastes, all needs, journals for work, magazines on particular hobbies, reviews of events, political and economic, historical and artistic, something on every subject under the sun. There are, in fact, over 1,000 weekly papers dealing with the most varied subjects, from bringing up goldfish to building houses at the weekend. These figures are only a fraction of the total reading done by the average citizen of the United Kingdom. In every town, be it large or small, there is certainly a public library where books on all subjects can be had to read at home without any cost to the borrower. This is a service offered to the community by the local government authority, and is very widely used by the public, who have access to any book they wish, whatever the subject, and are free to take the book away for a certain fixed time, perhaps 2 weeks. They then return the book to the library, and most likely take another. In the very small villages, or on the farms which are far from the town, there is a visiting library which exchanges books, and where a reader requires a particular book, a note is taken, and the volume is brought on the following visit. In this way, practically no one in the country need be without reading material, whether it be a classic by Dickens, Thackeray, or Scott, the poetry of one of the greats like Shakespeare, Milton, Pope, or Burns, or a simple novel, be it historical, humorous, or a crime thriller. Neither radio or television has greatly reduced the reading statistics in the country, though they have had some effect. However, many of the literary programs given by these two mediums serve as a stimulus to learn more about the subject in question, and this certainly compensates partly the loss that might otherwise be recorded. With all this reading, one must not imagine that British people spend all their time with their noses in books or newspapers. There are many other things to do: work, the garden in spring, summer, and autumn, a club perhaps. There are so many things to do, and yet one must keep abreast of the news. That is partly why the average Briton reads more than most other people in the world, and also why he reads on trains, buses, and at breakfast, whenever he sits down without a specific job in mind. He reads his newspaper.
Side 2, Grammatical section. In the last 4 lessons, some important tenses and constructions have been presented. Here are some examples of the principle of these, with notes regarding anything new that has not been explained so far. The future tense. The anomalous verbs shall and will, when used in their full sense, are never used in the contracted form. Notice the following examples. I will complete the lesson before 10 o'clock. This indicates determination, decision of the subject I. I'll complete the lesson before 10 o'clock. Here the verb is simple future, and the contracted form tells us nothing more than that. Adjectives. You may have noticed in previous lessons that nouns are often used in English as adjectives. Classroom, headache, and many others are now considered one single word. But the form is used occasionally to avoid long explanatory phrases. Look at these examples. The garden gate, the gate of the garden. The door handle, the handle of the door. A gramophone record, a record for playing on a gramophone. In each example, we see the noun which describes the other used as an adjective. Nouns used in this way are placed before the noun they describe and never take the plural form. Garden gates, door handles, bathrooms, dining rooms, tweed coats, shoe departments, winter holidays. Again, Adjectives are sometimes used as nouns, but though the sense and the verb are plural, the adjective is always written in the singular and is preceded by the definite article. Here are some examples. The poor must be helped by the rich. We mean all poor people when we say the poor. The sick means all those who are unwell. The adjective used in this way includes the complete category. That is, the rich means all rich people. The good means all good people, and so on. The perfect tenses. In lesson 13, we saw how to form the present perfect tense and noted the difference in English between this tense and the past definite tense. Another use for the perfect tenses, which is very important and different from most other European languages, is called the duration form. When an action or state began in the past and has continued till now, it is important to use the present perfect tense in English. Note the following examples very carefully. The children are in the garden. The children have been in the garden an hour. In the first example, the children are in the garden now. The sentence tells us no more. In the second example, the children are in the garden now, but we also know how long they have been there. Compare. The children are in the garden for an hour. This sentence means that the children have been given permission to play in the garden for an hour, and this period of time has not yet passed. They are in the garden now and will remain till the hour permitted them has passed. When the duration till now of the action or state is given, for is normally used. He has worked in the garden for an hour. They have studied English for 2 years. When we use the present perfect for these actions or states, we mean that the action is considered up to this moment now. In the same way, we use since when the time the action began is given. Here are some examples. He has been here for 2 weeks. He has been here since yesterday. In the first example, 2 weeks tells us how long the action has continued up to this moment. In the second example, we know the specific time the action began in the past. I have written 6 letters since breakfast. Our nephews have been with us 2 weeks. They have lived here for 20 years. The Browns have had a house in the country since 1939. John has been at school since 9 o'clock.